Morning. So this is the first time using this new piece of equipment, DJI Osmo, and I thought it's going to be a great opportunity for me to actually kill two birds with one stone and give you guys some insight into some education, some reflections that are going on, whilst also I can get some steps in. So we're here in the beautiful side of Western Australia. It's November, well, coming up to November, and the good weather is coming. You can see it's a beautiful morning this morning. Taking a bit of a stroll, and we're going to be talking about some of the issues that I see in the breathwork space at the moment around, I guess, defining science, being scientist or being science-backed, or using science as a bit of a guise, really, to marketing people up. Anyway, Gary Brecka comes to mind. People are still commenting on my last video that I did where I debunked Gary Brecka, which I will pop up here if you want to take a look. But it's not just Gary. It's quite spread across the whole of the breath space. A lot of the common books that are out there, they've done a great job at bringing this wonderful thing around breathing and breath work to the general audience, the general population, which to do so is quite challenging. So I have respect for the authors that have managed to do this, because now I've tried to write a book. I've tried many times. I've got a few ideas for books, but trying to be like scientifically correct and precise with the language, if you go too simplistic and write for a general audience, it sometimes removes the nuances, which makes it challenging for me to share like some of the things that I think are maybe not quite right, maybe what the science doesn't quite suggest compared to what other people might think, and that requires detail. So I respect that people can write scientific styles and get it to a large audience, and that's something I am definitely working on myself at the moment. Anyway, so what issues do I see? Issues that I see are typically people using scientific language, sounding confident with their language, and therefore people thinking and believing that they're correct. And if you go to the video that I did on debunking Gary Brecka, I believe there was 13 mistakes in something like 7 minutes, and these were outright mistakes. And someone commented on there, why would anyone listen to the guy who's recording the video, which is me, when all he states is that it could be, or might be, or should be. Most experts, especially experts who have come from a background of having some form of academia, they're going to use words like perhaps, could, may, speculation, hypothesis, theory, because that's how we approach things. We approach these things until our mind has been changed, and there's enough evidence to suggest that this is really concrete. And just in the breathwork space, it's just not. And there's just not that much literature. There are in some areas like slow breathing and heart rate variability, for example, where we can be quite confident with knowing that it increases heart rate variability, and therefore we can speak with confidence. But most of the papers are, they're still hypotheses. Oh, we're in Australia and there's a bit of a shake in the bush as you're walking. I saw a snake on this pathway not long ago, well, just last week, so that made me jump a bit. But yeah, it's just the fact that the science isn't there yet. So as a scientist, or someone with a background in scientists, you're still going to only want to trying to speak to truth. And if you can't speak to truth with confidence, like there's been, multiple meta-analysis on a certain area or a certain aspect of breath work or breathing, then why am I going to state that I'm absolutely correct? So I think that's the basis of why my language is like it is, and I'm trying to share genuine truths where I can, but also just showing and demonstrating that this is still a work in progress. This is still an area that's developing and growing, and the School of Breath Science is to help get to the front of that and to speak the appropriate language and to share the truths when they come out. So the guys like Gary Brecka who speak with confidence, be careful of those individuals, because they're often trying to sell a product behind. Obviously people who write books are trying to sell books. There's biases in everything. There's biases in what I say and share, because I'm giving my opinion based off science, but still they're only hypotheses. They're only become truth and facts when I test those hypotheses, which requires a lot of research. And there are research isn't just reading and writing a book. Research is getting in there and doing primary stuff with subjects and testing your hypotheses against vigorous methodology so that you don't have biases. And the fact is, not many people, leaders in the space, are actually doing that, because they're out teaching courses, they're out promoting their work, they're out sharing, doing the marketing, growing businesses, trying to earn money, trying to build industries. It's a different game to where research is done in academia to help support what we're trying to achieve. But do we need it? Yes, we need it. Do we need it to apply things? Well, that's why I got out of the clinical space. It's why I got moved from working with doctors and stuff like that, because the latest literature and the latest science, it's way far ahead and way in front of the medical system by at least, I gotta say, 10 to 15 years, depending on what you're reading. But I know that some of the theories that I've put together in the breath science certification, particularly around breathing and behavior, breathing and emotions, pH and psychological states, and as well as leptin and sleep disorder breathing. That's not discussed in the medical system at all at the moment, yet there is a decent amount of literature that allows me to create hypotheses and theories and then put them into action, as long as they're in a safe position. Now, that for me is what we might call pioneering. Looking at drawing connections and dots, trying things, seeing if they work, and then obviously the literature and the science comes in behind that, and that literature helps support what's going on. So I am a person who believes that the pioneers are in front of the concrete science. I'm not stating that we need to have all of this evidence accumulated before we do anything. No, that's definitely not how it works. It works in a way where the leaders at the front try things, implement things based off what they understand of the physiology in the body, psychology of the mind, and they create applications and see how it goes. And usually the science comes in, either proves it correct or incorrect, whether it's a placebo that's going on or not. If that helps the individual and the placebo improves the individual, obviously if they later on crash and burn and it comes back, that's a nightmare. But that's not usually the case when it comes to applying things like breath work, breath holds and stuff like that. So I'm all for people being creative and using their their knowledge, their skills, their passions to try things. But what I gotta say is look behind what the intention is. Because if it's about selling products, if it's about selling courses, there is going to be a huge bias there. And therefore, people might be challenged here. So look, I just wanted to share that with you all today, and to just look into things. The breath science certification, even throughout that, and for courses that I've built for other companies. I've been sharing, whether this is a speculation, whether it's a hypothesis, whether it's a theory, sharing my knowledge, and also anecdotes and clients that I've worked with, and to try and paint a picture using a story. So look, not everyone, if everyone did do critical thinking, I think the world would be a more argumentative place. There'd be a lot less action being taken in the world. Some people just want to just go in, just do what they need to do and do what they're told and have their hand held, and that's great. But those individuals that want that should source out a legitimate, authentic and qualified leader. I'm going to leave that with you there. I appreciate you all. These talks are going to be more just of a reflection. I'm going to try and get a few more of these out, killing two birds with one stone. And I'm going to show you the view that I have at the moment just to finish off. Here's the ocean. This path is about, I'm going to say about a 20-minute walk until I get to, there's another movement in the bush. 20-minute walk and it closes off, and it's a 20-minute walk back. I'm going to try and get into this every morning for the next, well, we've got summer coming, so summer is going to be here and you're going to see more of me, because my goal, my personal goals, I'm working with a coach now, signed up to MONALI Health, Jared Callahan, over in the States. He's helping me with some strength and conditioning work, flexibility work, and some nutrition. And we are going to get some weight off. Defy the dad body. Peace out, everyone.